Welcome to the Willows at East Greenville. This exceptional project, which transformed an iconic manufacturing building into mixed-income rental housing, received a 2022 Montgomery Award for Housing Equity, Adaptive Reuse and Historic Preservation, and Community Collaboration. Let's take a closer look.
We're sitting here at the Willows at East Greenville, which is a 71-unit mixed-income rental community built in East Greenville. I found this project almost 10 years ago. It looked like it was vacant and it would be a natural candidate for a historic adaptive reuse. While these are challenging projects, we try to do stuff like this that's unique and creative and can really fill a need in the community.
John contacted me when he found this building, and as a nonprofit partner, we put up an important part of how low-income tax credits get approved. And for Genesis Housing, it's part of our mission to preserve housing, create affordable housing, and revitalize older communities.
Judy Memberg and myself sat down with Jim Fry very early in the project, discussed kind of the path forward, and the path forward really was to go through a text amendment to allow the project to move forward. It was pretty clear that this project was going to be, high on the borough's list of things they would want to see done.
When the borough was approached about 6 or 7 years ago about the possibility of Ingerman purchasing the building and putting apartment units in here, the borough had a favorable opinion of that, and our planning commission looked at this and thought it was an opportunity to save a historical building, one that is sort of a landmark to the borough. We had to overcome a zoning issue because this is a limited industrial zoning district that did not allow for any residential. So the Planning Commission worked with the Montgomery County Planning Commission and wrote a text amendment that allowed industrial buildings to be redeveloped into residential buildings. And one of the advantages to that was the historical value of this building. The building had been in a deteriorating condition. We've had some issues with the property, and from my perspective, this was a good opportunity to clean this up and make it a useful use in this zoning district.
As part of the historic approval process, which was so important, to get the project actually listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which is a very lengthy process. Building first needs to be eligible. Is it greater than 50 years old? Clearly it was. It was built starting in the 1880s, and then 2 additional wings added in the 1919 and 1925 era. After getting the eligibility cleared, then we had to do a Part 2 application, which was just the further approval of the actual plans and specifications for the project. That's can be a very daunting process on a project like this. They require existing historic elements to be retained and oftentimes exposed so that you can see what they were historically. Windows had to be detailed perfectly so that they matched the historic detailing of the original windows. We couldn't tear down any historic portions of the building. So it really brought into play some very cost impacts that we have on the project. With just the cost of almost 500 new windows alone is very daunting.
Some of the challenges when you're redeveloping these industrial buildings is that they're very irregular. This one was built in 3 phases. Each building has a different structural system, different floor levels, and there are a lot of requirements from the Affordable Housing Agency as far as unit sizes, so it's challenging to fit everything together. Also, there's conflicting requirements with the historical tax credits and the energy requirements that the housing agency asks us to do. Those were challenging to overcome.
Yeah, we worked through a tremendous amount of issues from the first day we ever stepped in here. If you could have seen this building when we arrived, it was full of industrial equipment, debris, all types of things. It was a very hard job for Dan and his folks to survey the building and try to get accurate drawings for us. We worked together trying to figure out how to get through some of these things. It's a unique building. The part that we're in right now, the structure was pretty well shot. So we kept the outside walls, pretty much had to take down all the structure, rebuild it, and it's the way it was 100 years ago.
Some of the things which are challenging about this building also are what contributed to the finished product, the quality of the units. We tried to keep existing fire doors exposed. We had one staircase that we reused. We kept all the original treads and risers. We just added steel guardrails. We reused the existing elevator shafts. And then we had to try to somehow make sense of this building. Yeah, the trusses in this part of the building, they were recreated by an Amish company. So they matched exactly the techniques, the joinery, and the metal ties that were originally there. But it's all new. We also retained the existing boiler house and made that the community room. There's an existing smokestack that we retained. So those were all challenging.
I was one of the ones in the beginning that said, let's not do this project. But now I can see it was worthwhile.
The Willows at East Greenville was a site that was very challenging from a land development perspective. When we entered into the project with Ingerman, we noticed that there was an existing building for first. And in that, you have a lot of constraints with getting into the site regarding access and providing the stormwater management associated with the project. So what we did in this particular project is we had an underground basin installed underneath the parking lot. This eliminated the unsightly side of perhaps a larger basin that would take up a lot of developable area. And in doing so, we were able to meet the challenges necessary with the PADEP regulations. A good bit of the site had to be controlled with ADA access as well. And in doing so, we've created a lot of parking and sidewalks around the area to provide access from the development into the town. One of the features that we used to help reduce the stormwater was a landscape restoration. That is including trees and amended soils in the ground. The amended soils are a mixture of organic material to help absorb the water so that it doesn't create a runoff that would impact the local streams.
The one thing I like about the location of the Willows at East Greenville is centrally located. Right across the field we have, which was the old middle school, but they built a brand new middle school in 2020. So they changed this to the 4th and 5th grade center. I'm currently sitting in our second floor lobby, which is for me the best area in the building because you're able to look out and there's a beautiful scenery when you look out.
We each part that was done is a slightly different style, and we tried to build on that with our entranceway and our lobby. We didn't try to mimic the historical character, but we tried to play off it. There's some existing metal canopies that we retained on the building, so the entrance has a new metal canopy, but it's a slightly different take on that. And we made a double height lobby space to kind of, give a sense of hierarchy to the interior as you enter the building.
The other unique part about this building that I love, the fact of the transformation that it went through, but to learn what it once was. There's 3 sections to the building. There's 1880. We're currently in the 1919, and there's a 1925. Of course, it started out, some may know it started out as a cigar factory, which transpired into, it was bought by the Boyertown Casket Company, and then ended up SOS. But the Boyertown Casket Company, it wasn't just a regular casket company. They actually made casket for some celebrities. Marilyn Monroe, Houdini, Robert Kennedy, and Will Rogers, to name a few. So I think that's very unique and interesting.
This is a mixed affordable property that has a majority of just a mixture of market rate to affordable apartments, and with the outreach and having such an extreme difference in rental amounts, we were able to fill this a large need was needed in this community for such a beautiful project for affordable, safe housing.
This is a historical building. It was brought back to life and it looks wonderful. We were able to house more East Greenville residents, and it's great. The place looks very nice. I give the hats off to everyone involved. It looks amazing. I was not involved in this from the very beginning, but it was great to see the transition of the deteriorating building to become even better landmark.
So this is not the first project that Genesis Housing has worked with on Ingerman. John approached us on a project called Reliance Crossing. He was also a winner of a Montgomery Award, but that was new construction, a very different story than this project. So this project was full of challenges, but to see what it is now, from the almost rubble building to be this fabulous place for more than 70 families to live is truly incredible.
It had to be a labor of love for everyone that was involved in this project for it to come together. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come together. And at the end of the day, we see a project that brings a community, a very vital component of a historic borough back to life.
And there are very few municipalities in Montgomery County that would be as welcoming for affordable housing as this one was. So we're very thankful for the borough for making this happen.
The Willows at East Greenville provides much needed affordable housing for many Montgomery County families and contributes to the vibrancy of East Greenville Borough. Thank you for taking a closer look with us.